Hey everybody, it's Katie from Bobby Hair Studio, and today I'm going to show you how to take this grown out brunette into a full blonde using foils, and I'm going to show you my formulas and everything that I did today to do a single blonding appointment. So for a little bit of backstory, this client comes in once per year to get a full head of foils, and then she comes in 6 months later to get a half head of foils. So this is her full head appointment. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by sectioning her head into 5 different sections. We have a mohawk section on the top because she changes up her parting a little bit. We have sections on either side and then in the back. So I've separated the back into 4 quadrants, and what I'm doing is I'm working up each side of the quadrant. And I'm starting from the very bottom. And the pattern that I'm using for my foiling today is I'm going to be doing a slice, weave, slice, weave. I'm doing equal parts, and the way that I'm foiling and saturating the hair is going to be different based around different areas of the head, so I can get a slightly different result in different areas. And what I mean by that is on this back side, as you can see, I'm going to be foiling up as blonde and as high up as possible and as bold as possible right until I hit the occipital bone. The reason why I'm doing that is because I want her foils to last as long as possible underneath, because we do a half head halfway through the year, so that area doesn't get touched up at the second appointment, but we also want that blonde impact to last as long as possible. So I don't bring up the foils quite as high on my slices. Like, I don't bring up the saturation quite as high on my slices when I'm past the occipital bone getting towards the top of the head, because I do want some of that softness and that rootiness to blend in with her root shadow that I'm going to be doing later. Otherwise, I would have just given her probably a solid bleach out, honestly, if I didn't want to have a soft, rooty look. So this underneath area, because it's going so close to the root, it's going to be a little harder to grow out in that first 3 months, but it's underneath, so no one's ever going to see it, which is why I do it up so high and so close to the root. For my formula in the bowl, I mixed together a 20 volume and the Agora silver blue bleach, like the silver tin of the Schwarzkopf blue bleach called Agora, and I mix it with the 20 volume Royal Developer. And every 10 to 15 minutes, I do mix a new bowl to make sure it has as much power as possible, because this client's hair, even though it's like a natural level 5 to 6, I'm sorry about the overexposure, by the way, my camera was just not picking up good lighting today. It keeps changing all over the place. Her natural color is like a level 5, maybe a level 6 in some lightings. And her hair likes to be a little bit stubborn to lift, so I do like using a slightly more powerful lightener to start with. If my client had lighter hair or it lightens very easily, I would probably just be doing like a level 10 and moving up towards a 20 or 25 volume as I work along the head, but she does need the power of a 20 to start with. But I do not really go above 20 volume with our developers today. We just mix new bowls and make sure that her head is insulated and warm, and she can sit as long as she needs to while it processes. As I work my way up towards the apex, the very top of the head, I'm trying to make sure that I leave a little bit of blending room for these roots, but not too much, because I am going to be dragging down my root shadow formula a little further down to give her that really soft look. If you're looking to get a balayage or highlight session that lasts longer for the client, please keep in mind that making the top back of the head area a little softer and a little further away with your foils, because that's going to give them a softer grow out. It gives them a bit of a natural looking angle to their hair, because the front tends to grow a little slower, I've noticed with a lot of clients. So you end up getting this almost money piece look when you bring the blonde up higher in the front and a little lower down in the back. And it also make sure that you don't really have this really hard line as the hair grows out when you're growing out foils. As well as a lot of people, their hairline can part back really, really far and spread open in a really wide circle pattern, and a lot of people hate that. This is a good way to make sure that your foils aren't going to be too obvious when they start growing out, and that's what I like doing with almost every single client of mine who has foil work happening. Is towards the back, I do like to blend a little further down and not bring things up so high. The reason why I'm doing slice weave is so that at the very top of the foils, for every second foil with the weaves, I am getting that little bit of natural blend between the natural color and the blonding color. Because you can see with my weaves here, I go up as basically as high as I can and still try to feather in a little bit of that. But then with my slices, I'm further down, probably about an inch, which does give that inch of a little bit of a shadow. So that's gonna actually help to blend in that shadow root color with the highlights. It's hard to explain. I'm so sorry I'm bad at explaining today. I am doing my best. My brain is a little bit fogged up, but it's easier to picture later when you see it. My wish today is that I wish that this piece that I did right here was a smaller weave. I think that that would have let my back area be a little bit more soft and subtle rather than being piecey and blonde like the rest of it. You'll see it a little bit later in the final result, but that is my wish, that I was a little bit lighter handed with my weaves on those back last two pieces in the center. Now I'm still following along with the same pattern of slice, weave, and I always like to start with a slice when I'm starting with the back and the two sides, but never the top. And I'll tell you why later. You're probably gonna know why anyways. But this creates a money piece. She's getting to be as blonde as possible before it comes down to, you should just get a bleach out. This is as blonde as you can go while still maintaining a pretty soft root and maintaining not having to have a super, super solid grow out, because a bleach root is going to provide a super hard grow out line versus a soft foil is going to get more and more blended and soft as it grows out, which is why a lot of clients still love doing highlights. So I am doing this slice weave on diagonal forward sections towards her face. I actually also like doing this because the face is quite warm and it heats up these areas really quick, so it actually results in quite a quick process. And being on angles also gives a little bit more blend and softness to these foils so they don't look stripy in her hair, even when we pull her hair up, because we're following the direction that her hair would be pulled upwards if it were in a ponytail rather than going on exact horizontals. So if you're new to foiling, I always recommend doing diagonals and following the hairline around the face, following the direction or angle that that's in, because that's going to give you the most impactful blonde. It's going to give you the softest blonde, and it's going to be quite easy to remember to foil that person along that hairline in the future, because that's going to be used as your guide. Because there is still blonde on the ends of these pieces, I'm just making sure to feather down so I don't fully saturate these ends. I try not to get anything that's actually still lifted to blonde. I only kind of feather into those areas that has previous blending in it or a previous root shadow. Anything that's not quite to the level that I want it to be, I'm going to saturate far less than the darker areas that I am saturating as much as possible, because I want to get the same level of lift. Please keep in mind that when you are bleaching hair, saturation matters. It's not the same as lifting with color, because wherever color goes, it's going to lift to its full extent wherever it goes, which actually makes color harder to blend than bleach. Bleach is easier to blend because if you have some areas that are a little bit drier than others, they're going to stop processing faster. That's not the same situation with color. Wherever it's applied, it's going to color to its full max extent. Bleach is not the same. Now, as I start on the back, whenever I'm starting my mohawk, I do start this section with a weave. And I should have done that with those two pieces just below this piece. I should have done it, but I didn't. And what I like to do is, again, leave my weave a little bit further down rather than going right up to the top of the foil, so it has a little bit of room to slide, as this is the danger zone. I don't know if I've discussed danger zones with you guys before, but there are areas that I call danger zones because they are in high risk of slippage, and they're quite hot, and they're quite hard to get a foil right up to that spot and keep it there. So that's why I do like to give it a little bit of leeway, a little extra room at the root for the foiling, because that tends to be an area that all the foils pack down onto. It's on a curve on the back of the head, so it tends to slide down, and that's where you can get leopard spots. So I think it's always better to be safe than to be sorry with pieces like this, and just kind of blend upwards without going right to the very top of the foil. I'm still maintaining a slice weave pattern here. This is a very simple pattern to do, and I'm still feathering down towards those ends, trying not to snap or melt anything off. And again, I am doing the same kind of blending motion up towards the top there, trying to soften up that line as much as I possibly can. Also keep in mind that whenever you do slices, they are more impactful pieces of blonde. So you can go a lot thinner with your sections for your slices than you do with your weaves. What I like to do with my weaves is make them a slightly thicker section so it creates these little pops of blonde. But with my slices, they're going to be a brighter, more brilliant blonde across. It's so difficult to explain it. You guys will see it later in the result. But it is a more dimensional look to switch up how your weaving and slicing is done in your foils. Rather than just doing the same weave the whole way through the head, you're going to get a same look all the way through the head. So because you guys have seen so much of this foiling already, I am going to skip ahead to the toning. I basically do this all the way up to the front and do 2 slices in a row at the very front because I want to give her a soft money piece. So we're just going to cut to the toning now. Here is her raw lift, no toning, no purple shampoo. This is exactly the result that we wanted to see. We want to see those bold blonde highlights, and we wanted the ends to be super saturated with a little bit more of that natural color at the top. It looks horrendous right now, but toner is going to help us fix that. So we're going to start with our blonde toner. Our blonde is going to go on first, and it's a 9519, 811, and a 94. And what that looks like while it's on is like this. So it looks really scary, just trust the process. I put on all cool colors. It's going to go a more cool result. Of course, we do have orange lighting in the salon, and it's nighttime, so our lighting is not the best. And then what we have for the root is a 5-4 and a 7-4 too. All of these formulas are equal parts for this video today, so I didn't put in my ratios. But essentially the reason why I did a blonde color on first is because my root shadow is on the darker side, and I wanted to dilute and soften how that root shadow looks at the end. If you put on the blonde color first, it creates this barrier so that when you put on your dark color, it doesn't just quickly absorb and create even blockier looking lines. Have you ever put on a root shadow on a raw blonde and had it just suck up way too much and then go too dark and it's blotchy and it looks awful? It's because the hair is like looking for something to suck up, and the first thing that it touches, it's going to absorb as much as it can. Anything that lays on top of that is just going to provide an extra layer of color, but it's not going to be the strongest color. So that's why I mixed my color down a level. Rather than doing a level 7, I did a level 6 by mixing a 5 and a 7 together. The reason why I mixed all cool colors for my blonde is because this client likes to be a cool neutral color, but that's why the base of it was like a 9-4. 9-4 is a beige color, which I think is a very trendy, on-brand color right now for 2022. I think it'll stick around for a long time because beige is very soft and everybody can pull off a beige tone. So that's why the base of my color was a beige, and then I added in some cool tones as well on top of that, just to help fight any of that brass, because this client does not like to have really brassy hair. She likes a balanced, soft, natural color. And of course, when we say brassy, we just don't want to see like crazy orange and yellow. That's how she feels about brass. Seeing a soft blonde like what she has right here in the end, she was so happy with it. It leaves her with a lighter looking natural root because of that root shadow. It leaves her with like a level 7 looking root and level 9 looking ends. She overall looks super, super blonde. And if you do spot a little bit of hair tinsel in her hair, yes, we did put that in. We put about 4 pieces in there, so you can see little twinkly pink pieces. I'm really happy with this result. I think that her formulations were beautiful. And as I discussed earlier, I would put a couple smaller foils in the back there, but that's all. I hope you guys like this video today. If you do, please remember to support us back by liking and subscribing and telling your friends about our page, because we are doing our best to help out all those hairstylists out there. Have a great day.